Every year, millions of tourists come to Beijing. Many of them stop to take their picture in front of Mao Zedong's portrait outside Tiananmen Gate. But what they might not know is that the iconic painting itself has a lot of stories to tell.
It was so stressful when I painted my first Mao painting, but I tried my best. People around China are all very familiar with Mao's face. So it was a lot of pressure for me to paint it.
Only 4 artists have been chosen to paint Mao's portrait over the years. Ge Xiaoguang is one of them. His first painting was in 1978, when he was just 24 years old. He's been painting Mao's portrait every year since then. To this day, the reclusive artist is humble about his early years.
I started working as a painter when I was 18 years old at the Beijing Fine Arts Company. That's where I began to learn to paint large-scale portraits like Chairman Mao and other leaders. I think it was fate that my bosses chose me. I'm lucky to have this job and lucky to be able to say that I'm the official portrait painter of Chairman Mao.
The unveiling of a new Mao portrait is a tradition that goes back to 1949, when the People's Republic of China was founded. Every year, a new portrait goes on display ahead of the National Day in October. Over time, Mao's look evolved in his paintings. The first showed him with his signature cap and wool coat. He's appeared very serious, with a fatherly look, and even showing a faint smile. For the artist, the challenge is to capture the history of modern China and represent that story all in a single portrait.
Throughout the years, there had been several versions of Mao's portrait. The government changes the portrait according to different circumstances and political needs. There was a period where the painting of Mao only showed 1 year. It was a nice portrait, but we were afraid people would feel uncomfortable seeing Mao like that, so we had to modify it. Then we tried to find more pictures of Mao, and finally decided to use this one. But if you look at this picture carefully, Mao doesn't have a straightforward pose either. He turns to the side a little bit, which is more dynamic and vivid.
Ge says he gets inspiration from official photographs, books, and videos of Mao Zedong. But beyond the artistic considerations, there are other things he's had to think carefully about.
The painting has to face the problem of wind, rain, and sunshine all around the year, and has to adapt to the change of light throughout the day. We have to consider this entire thing before we start painting. So we have to study and analyze every aspect of it to prevent the distortion of the color. That means choosing the right paint that can stand the different weather conditions.
Being one of Mao's portrait artists is a distinction that carries a high honor. And for Ge Xiaoguang, having that honor gives him great satisfaction.
Chairman Mao is not an ordinary person. You have to paint with deep understanding of his spirit and his connection with the Chinese Revolution. What I'm doing is not just art, it's beyond art. The significance of this portrait carries the same weight as our national flag and emblem. I feel very happy that I'm able to paint Mao's portrait all my life. This journey has been and always will be my most important artistic creation.
So what happens when Mao's portraits are replaced every year? They don't go on display again. In fact, they are painted over with white paint and destroyed. The idea being they're a national treasure, and once they are no longer on display, they go out of public view forever. For Simon Asia, I'm Fei Ye in Beijing.